Number 10 is 3. Number 12 is 128 degrees. Number 14A is segment PS is congruent to segment QR, and segment PQ is congruent to segment SR. Number 14B, you could have angle PQ and angle P and angle Q, and then angle S and angle R. There are other possibilities on that one. Number 16 is 79 degrees. X is 79 degrees, and Y is 101 degrees. Number 18, I marked out for some reason, which means that there was a mistake in the key, probably. 18A is I don't know. We can figure it out in a minute if we need to. And B is 3. Number 20, Z is 2 and Y is 5. 22 is 0, 1.5. 24 is a proof, so we can certainly look at it. Do we go through 28? Or just, yeah. So everything else is proof, so we can certainly look at one of those in a minute. Is there anything that we need to look at before we look at any proofs?
22.
I don't either. 22. Find the coordinates of the intersection of the diagonals of that given the vertices. Remember that we don't do coordinate proofs, but on homework we do coordinate problems. Not on tests though, so there it is.
On all the proofs, if it has a rectangle next to it, does that mean it's parallelogram?
Yes. Yeah. Okay. Me goes just straight to graphing these points. It's going to make our lives a little easier if we have something to point at and talk about. So, negative W is negative 1, 2, 3, 4, and 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, which is right there. And X is 5, 7. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. So right here, this is X. And then Y is 1, 2, 3, 4, negative 2. 1, 2. So right here. And finally, Z is negative 5, negative 4. 2, 3, 4. So right there. Find the coordinates of the intersection of the diagonals of that with the given vertices. Okay. I think there's probably more than one way we could go about solving this problem if I had to guess based on the lesson it's in. Because I bet this is a parallelogram. We would need to prove that real well. We'd have to do a little math to make sure that that's true. Okay, so what do we need to do? Sure, that's fine. Actually, it's really, we don't really even necessarily have to do that it's a parallelogram. We could do it different. There's a lot of ways we could solve this particular problem. You could actually solve this problem even back in Algebra 1. Got a lot of sleepy sounds coming from people. Not a lot of helpful math sounds. Anybody have any thoughts about how to solve for
We could find
A?
the distance between Z and X and W and Y and half both of those, and then that's our.
Yeah, so that's one way we could do it. Sure. I don't know if I think that that's the easiest way. You could do that though. You could find the distance half, but then you're kind of working with angled stuff. So you could probably get there. I don't know that I think that's the easiest way though. But that is one possibility. What's another way we could get there? And although we went your route, we'd have to prove real quick that this was parallelogram to ourselves and whatever else. We'd have to show that. By doing what? How would we prove it's a parallelogram?
All the two pairs of congruent sides.
So yeah, you could do two pairs of congruent sides, or you could do two parallel lines. How would we do the parallel lines? Because the parallel lines is kind of the lines aspect is kind of a direction I think that's going to make this problem easier. How can we prove that that line WX is parallel to the line ZY? What would they have to have? Focus, math.
Same.
Put your stupid animal away if it's a distraction. What'd you say?
Slope.
Yeah, same slope. Yeah, and you were distracted by something. So
I was just thinking about other things.
good, focus. You gotta learn the math. Okay, so if they had the same slope. So we know a mechanism, we've used it before 2 or 3 times in this class even, and you learned it last year. We know a mechanism for finding where 2 lines cross,
Yeah.
right? By solving a little system. So if we could just find the equation of this line and this line, and then just set them equal to each other, then we've got it, right? That seems easy money. Because we can find the equations of those lines like super easy, right? How do you find the equation of a line between 2 points?
Find the slope. And
Find
Y or something.
all that's true. So let's find the slope between WY.
So I did do the thing, but I didn't do the thing in the way that like you would want.
I already said there's at least 3 different ways to solve this problem. At least.
Well, I did the easy way.
This is the easy way. Just counting is not good enough. That's not a way. That's not a method. That's not any of the methods.
But it gets the answer.
It doesn't get the answer.
It doesn't?
No, not unless your graph is perfect and you can't prove that it is.
Well,
Now, your method, quote unquote, is a good way to check to make sure that your whatever algebra method you do use makes sense. So your method is a very good sanity check, very good one. It's just not enough by itself. Does that make sense, kind of? Okay. Slope between WY. What's the slope formula?
Y2 minus Y1 over X2
Yeah.
minus X1.
That is accurate. What are we gonna put right here?
-2.
-2. What about here?
5.
And this one?
4.
-4. Ka-chink, ka-chink. -7/8. Great. So how do we finish out finding that was a different sound. Sound that I needed to care about, but it was not. What?
4 equals -7 over 8 times -2 plus B.
4 equals.
You don't we just have to use. Oh, I did that backwards.
Yeah.
-2
we're plugging it into this. And then, yeah, -2 equals -7/8 times 4 plus b. Sounds good. What's -7/8 times 4?
-28/8.
Yeah, or negative. Somebody's phone is dinging with my messenger sound, or it's my phone making the messenger sound. Or something. I'm really confused. Somebody's phone is freaking me out.
My phone is off. I swear.
I honestly don't care too much. -7/2. Does that sound accurate to everybody? Add 7/2 to both sides. 7/2 is also what? 3.5. So b equals 1.5 or 3/2. So the equation of this line is y equals -7/8 x minus, no, plus 3/2. Great. We can do the same process over here, right? For the slope of zx. What would we put right here?
7.
In here?
-4.
And here?
Negative. -5.
Ka-chink, 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 ka-chink. 7 plus 4 is 11. 5 plus 5 is 10. 11/10. So that's wrong, but then I realized, no, this is not a rectangle. So, we just proved that this was not a rectangle. Good job to us. Great. So then we could do y equals 11/10 x plus b, and then plug in one of those. Which one do you want to pick?
7 plus.
Okay, 7 in for y. 11/10 times 5 plus b. So 7 equals 11/2 plus b. That would be what, 5.5. So this would be 1.5. Look at that. That's nice. What did it say the answer to this was? Yeah, this is what we just kind of proved, basically. So y equals 11/10. Don't worry, I will say more useful words here in a second. Plus 1 and 1/2. So these two lines, because they have the same y-intercept, where do they cross?
Well, they cross at. Oh wait, because it's the y-intercept.
Yeah, because it's the y-intercept. They have the same y-intercept, so they cross at the y-axis. So the point I labeled as A, just for grins and giggles, is the point 0, 1.5. And if we were to set these two things equal and like finish it all out, like do some more algebra, right? Then we would get the same thing. What other questions from this lesson before we tackle any proofs? That's a proof.
Yeah, but if nobody else says anything.
Can we do 24? I mean, it's approved, yeah.
Sounds like that's where we're headed. Are we sure nobody has any other ones before we hit a proof?
What were the answers on 18?
So 18b was 3. Let's see. A is 2a 14 7. Yeah. A is 7.
Can we do that?
We can. Find the value of each variable in each parallelogram. So we got parallelogram TVWS that looks totally just like that. If I do this, it does. Look. Now how pretty is it? Great job. 3B plus 5 and B plus 11. Excuse me. 3A plus 1 and A plus 15. What do we know about opposite sides of a parallelogram?
They're equal.
Yeah, they're congruent, which means they're measured equal. So to find A, we can just set this equal to that. A plus 15 equals 3A plus 1. And to find B, we can just set this equal to that.
Yeah, I'm understanding what I did wrong now.
Good. What'd you do? You add up to 180 or something weird?
Yeah.
Yeah.
I'd like to say.
These angles are supplementary. The sides are congruent. So like T is supplementary to S, but yeah. That's where the confusion happened. All right, 24 it is. Parallelogram, BDHA. CA is congruent to CG. And we're trying to prove a couple angles are congruent. The book used 4 steps. We'll see what we do. Totally doesn't look like that. It goes all the way to the bottom. Something like that. A, B, C, D, G, H for some reason. And we are in our, excuse me, given BDHA is a parallelogram. BDHA, we are given that segment CA, right? Yep. CA is congruent to segment CG. And we're supposed to prove that angle BDH is congruent to angle G.
Why did you put a 2?
Because reasons, I guess. Because I was counting.
Doesn't it need to be a 1?
It does need to be a 1.
Oh, you changed it to a 1.
Your brain is even more behind than mine is.
Well, I just did.
So we're trying to prove that this is congruent to this. And we are given that CA, so these one, is congruent to these one, right?
CG.
Yeah.
CACG. CG. doesn't really affect if that's.
Oh, CACG. I see what you're saying. See, yeah, these one.
By
Great. Okay. So, what can we do?
angle A and G are congruent because of isosceles triangle theorem.
First we gotta say it's an isosceles triangle.
Mm-hmm.
Because those two sides are congruent.
Yeah. So, definition of isosceles.
Triangle ACG.
Yeah. Triangle ACG is isosceles because of the definition of isosceles. True enough. And then you said angle A is congruent to angle G because base angles of an isosceles triangle. I agree with that. Angle A is congruent to angle G because base angles of isosceles are congruent. Great.
Now you'd say A is congruent to BDH because definition of parallelograms.
You're saying A is congruent to BDH. Is that what you're saying?
Yeah.
Yeah. Your justification is a little bit off, but yes.
We didn't get a name on these theorems over here.
Yeah, it just said.
That's why it's all that.
If a quadrilateral is a parallelogram, then its opposite angles are congruent. So in the homework, I just wrote out theorem because I didn't have a name for it.
I just kept putting definition of the parallelogram because, well, that's what was above.
Opposite sides. Parallelogram. Congruent. Blamio.
And then by substitution.
Transitive property. Angle BTH is congruent to angle G because transitive property. Bam. What else? Questions do we have? Excuse me.
Is 28 a one step?
There's no such thing as a one-step proof.
Well, that's
Yeah,
after the
they were
given.
literally the theorems we learned.
Yeah, it was literally the theorem.
So we've talked about this before.
Oh, we gotta prove the theorem.
Yeah, you can't use that theorem to prove itself. There's no circular reasoning in math.
We were supposed to prove it.
Yeah.
I thought it was literally just telling us the answer.
No. You can't just use the theorem to prove that circular reasoning. That's never a good logical argument. Not in debate, not in math.
I didn't know I was supposed to prove the theorem. It just
Yeah.
said prove, so
Yeah.
it just taught us that.
Yeah, we've talked about that before. It is, in the book, at least 7 steps.
I have no idea.
And it has an obnoxious step, actually. Yeah. Because in that proof, at least the way they proved it, they added a segment.
Why do you need to add it?
Because you need to be able to get the different triangles are congruent, and then they used angle side angle. There's probably other possibilities there. They used the reflexive property. They used.
I don't think it's a 4-step. Because you use opposite interior, reflexive, angle side,
C.
Alternate interior angles, yeah, and then reflexive, yeah, that's true.
You just use CBCDC, right? SR, or
Yeah.
RS and
Well, you also, there's one step you're missing. Well, there's two steps you're missing. One is it's a step to draw an auxiliary thing. So that's a step. To draw the other diagonal, whatever it is.
wait, we need two diagonals.
Wait, well, that doesn't make any sense because they literally drew it.
It's already there.
Okay, just kidding. So that step is dumb because they gave it to you. So I don't know why that step is there. But the one step you are missing is that you have to say that PQ is parallel to SR and PS is parallel to QR because opposite sides of parallelogram are parallel. Oh, yeah. So you have to say that, alternate interior, reflexive, angle side angle, and then CBC DC. So 7 steps, 6 steps if we take out the draw and auxiliary statement. I think the reason that they added the draw and auxiliary one, even though they do it for you in the book, is because that, like if you were actually writing this theorem, because that's kind of what these are practicing when you do this, then that segment wouldn't be there. It would just be a parallelogram, right? And so you're proving that this is always true in a parallelogram, right? So anyway, there you go. Mary Chrysler. What other questions do y'all have?
Well,
Nobody has any more questions. Let's take a quiz then.
If Adam and Eve were the first humans, does that mean that we're all related?
So you're just trying to be dumb, which is fine. That's fair enough. But there is some scholarly debate about that because the word Adam means man. That's literally what it means. And so there's definitely some scholarly debate on whether that story in Genesis is to be taken as strictly literal or just literal in the way some other stories are as well in the Bible. So I'm not gonna like get into this theological debate with you. I'm just saying that that's not the greatest, atheist argument against Christianity, as some ill-informed atheist might try to tell you.
It's not supposed to be an argument.
I know you were just trying to be. I already acknowledged that you didn't really care about the answer, but I was giving you a answer. My answer is maybe. I am of this is like a tangential thing. I am of the strong conviction that you can believe the Bible Genesis account can be taken literal. I believe the God that I believe in has every ability to have created the earth in a literal 7 days, 6 days. I believe that is possible, and you don't have to believe that is literal 6 days to believe in the same God. You have to believe Jesus is the only way to be saved, among other things. But I know you didn't actually care, but there's some extra words for you. There's some extra words to give you some things.
Okay.
You're welcome.
Yes, thank you.
Quiz 6-2. Page 408. Numbers 15 and, what was I going to do? 19. Were you afraid I was going to give you a proof?
I thought you were gonna give me a proof.
I thought about it. I did consider giving a proof, Number 23 would have been a good one.